Hi everyone, my name is Tom Tubergen and I'm the CEO and the head guru for a small company that operates a number of websites, including salesleadsforlawyers.com. I've got a lot of years of experience of building online applications and marketing sales funnels to help my accounting and legal clients attract a steady, consistent stream of new profitable clients of their own. So the entire objective of this video today and the webinar that you've signed up for is simply to share my hard-earned experience to help you understand how do you make your freaking phone ring with good prospects. And you know, there's a lot to learn. We got a lot to talk. So between this video and the webinar that you're going to be attending shortly, there's three distinct categories of information that I'm going to be sharing with you. The first part that I cover in this video is all about the basic environment that we marketing people have to operate within. And granted, some of us marketing people always seem to march to the beat of a different drummer. However odd we might be, there's always this method to our madness, and today's video is going to discuss a number of those fundamental issues that affect the work that we do. The first part of the webinar itself is going to be spent discussing all of the research and all of the preliminary activities that I do when I begin working with a new client to promote their services. And during the initial kickoff meeting that I have with each new engagement, I ask a lot of questions. During this part of the webinar, I'm going to explain why I ask the questions that I do, why they're important, and how those answers that I receive influence the promotional strategy that I create for you. And then finally, during the second portion of the webinar, I discuss the specific tactical marketing tools or options that I plug into the overall process to achieve your desired objectives. First point that I wanted to bring up in this video here that I would like to discuss with you is for you to recognize and acknowledge that the profession you're practicing as an attorney is much different, a far different paradigm than marketing is. And that's probably not news, is it? You know, years ago when I was in grad school studying for my MBA in marketing, we each needed to complete a fundamental core group of classes including finance, human resources, operations management, as well as marketing topics. And the interesting phenomenon to me, especially in the marketing classes, was that all of the finance people would sit on one side of the room and all the marketing people sat on the other side. During the class discussions that we'd have about a specific case study that we were working on, there would be a dead silence from the finance side of the room. You know, I think it just illustrates that certain people have the ability to recognize and adapt to the dynamic changes in the environment that's around them. And if you consider accountants and the legal profession, that they've worked in much the same manner with the same set of rules and regulations for decades, if not hundreds of years, you know, they look at the world as either it's black or it's white. You know, marketing people, on the other hand, deal in shades of gray. So whether you understand the marketing profession or not, this is not an excuse for not understanding your own personal strategy or managing the specific marketing tactics that you need to use in order to reach your objectives. And that leads me straight into my very next point. You need to have a very clear-cut objective and strategy for your marketing efforts and your promotional campaigns that you do to promote yourself and your business or your law practice. Look at your marketing campaign like it's a complicated legal case that you are working on. You know from the beginning of the case what the ultimate objective is. And pretty early on, you start to identify a specific strategy to reach that objective. And once that strategy has been determined and put in place, you start to employ various marketing or various legal tactics to execute that strategic process and also to diffuse any threats that you have to your objective. So very early in my marketing process, I want to know how many new clients you need each month, what type of clients they're going to be, if it's personal injury or if it's criminal defense or whatever it is, how much revenue they would generate. And since you don't close every lead that calls you or contacts you, how many of them does it take each month for you to end up with your target monthly objective of new clients? And the same process is going to help you when you're contacted by a salesperson that's selling some sort of a marketing service or whatever, to quickly discern for yourself whether their product or their service is even relevant to achieving your overall marketing objectives each month. About 10 or 15 years ago, the ancient Chinese general Sun Tzu and his book, The Art of War, were quite popular. And one of my favorite quotes from that book, or from Sun Tzu, is the second bullet point on the slide. Strategy without the tactics is the slowest route to victory. But the most important comment here is tactics without the strategy is simply the noise before eventual defeat. You know, a big mistake that so many people make is they get so bogged down and they get so buried in the details of a specific marketing tactic like their website or the latest effort for search engine optimization or Facebook advertising that they just simply lose sight of the overall strategy and the ultimate objective of this whole process, which is simply to make the freaking phone ring with new clients. And it's the reason why I keep emphasizing throughout this video and in this webinar that our single objective here is making your phone ring. And this is a great segue right into my next point of identifying possible point solutions versus an end-to-end solution. And perhaps the biggest single mistake that I see my attorney clients making throughout the past is falling victim to a smooth-talking salesperson and buying a point solution instead of an end-to-end solution. And what's the difference between a point solution and an end-to-end solution? An example of a end-to-end solution is a total group of integrated marketing activities that are designed specifically to identify your target clients, and especially the ones that have the money to pay you, at the time they need your services, and delivering them to your email inbox or to your phone to close. So it's a whole group of perhaps point solutions like a billboard in a minor league ballpark or a social media campaign or whatever, all combined together in an integrated way to achieve a specific result of making your phone ring or messages arriving in your email inbox. So purchasing a website or newspaper advertising or Yellow Pages advertising or even this billboard at a minor league ballpark are all examples of point solutions. They're designed to solve a specific problem on your way to reaching a larger objective. There's nothing inherently wrong with point solutions per se. In fact, they're an integral part of every marketing campaign. The problems arise from having the wrong set of expectations on your part of expecting a point solution to produce the same results as an end-to-end solution. And that's why you might spend $3,000 on a website that some salesman or whatever sells you, and then the programmer gets done and they walk away and nothing happens. Absolutely nothing. But at least you got a great looking website, right? And so this is where I've stepped back and I developed an entire end-to-end marketing solution. You don't want to get bogged down managing a lot of marketing strategies and tactics and implementing this point solution and that point solution and working on a new web. You're in this to practice law, not marketing. So instead of trying to convince you to buy a new website or search engine optimization or the latest social media campaign strategy, what I decided to do some time back was to acknowledge that my clients really don't care how I send them new prospects. They just want their phone to ring. And they're paying me to make that phone ring, and I make the decisions on whether or not their website's doing the job or if there needs to be more newspaper advertising or if the Facebook advertising response has been poor or whatever. My experience is that the difference between the concepts of point solutions and end-to-end marketing solutions is the root cause for a lot of your marketing heartburn that you have. Marketing is a dynamic process. It's not black magic. Well, okay, it kind of is, but you know what? I don't really want to reveal all my secrets to you. That doesn't make marketing people, however, the equivalent of con men. And here's what I think is the point of contention between accounting and the finance people and the marketing people. There's a static field of reference for accounting and legal people versus a dynamic field of reference for people who operate in the marketing profession. And in a practical context, how we communicate has evolved many times during the last 5 years. The same person that, for example, that sold you radio, newspaper, or TV advertising 5 years ago was also selling the benefits of a social media campaign perhaps 3 years ago. And the same individual probably moved on and was selling search engine optimization services for your website last year, and now this year, mobile websites are all the latest rage. But that doesn't mean that the salesman is deceptively trying to separate you from your money. It's more a reflection of the dynamic environment in which we all live and operate. And remember, the world is changing just as rapidly, if not even more rapidly, for marketing people as it is for you. One of the concepts that a marketing professional is taught in college or in grad school is the concept of the 3 Ps: product, promotion, and pricing. And for the sake of any of the marketing people who may be eavesdropping on this conversation, there's actually a 4th item here, but it's irrelevant to the discussion, and I'm pretty much ignoring that. So for each element in this what's called a marketing mix, or the 3 Ps, a marketing person will look at the entire product, service, features, and benefits, the various promotional opportunities that are available to promote this product or service, in how to position the product price-wise. In other words, are you going to be affordable to the masses, or are you going to set your rates a little bit higher than the average bear in your profession to demonstrate more value for what you're charging? But the evaluation process doesn't stop there. A really shrewd marketing pro takes that same criteria, product evaluation, promotional strategy, and pricing positioning, and applies it to your biggest competitors. And this is by far the single biggest opportunity for you to gain ground in your own marketing efforts. You know, a few years ago, I hired Andy to come by and rip out and replace a rotted front and back deck on my condo. And he spent about a week or 10 days on the project, as I recall. And the thing that I immediately noticed was at the end of every workday, he cleaned and put all of his tools away, and then he pulled out his rake, broom, shovel, and completely cleaned up the entire work site. And so when I mentioned this to him, he explained, "Tom, anybody can build a new deck. The difference between a cowboy and a craftsman is the level of detail that's used to complete the job." And that same strategy can be used to your advantage when you track your competitors closely. Yeah, you can do all the stuff of building websites, of doing social media, and other traditional media advertising, but you know, at the end of the day, it's the level of detail to which you employ these tactics that are going to achieve better results than what your competitors are achieving. There's actually probably a flip side to the 3 Ps, and these 3 Ps would actually apply to the clients that I work with. And I would call those 3 Ps in this particular case persistence, perseverance, and patience. When I implement a new marketing funnel or a new marketing campaign for a client, I have generic templates of specific activities that I follow that are based on my experience of what works for promoting attorneys. But it can still take a couple of months to determine which specific tactics aren't working as well as they should be, which ones do work best, and then start to maximizing those successful opportunities. You know, every market is different. Every city is different. There could be different rules and regulations, or even different cultural influences. So sometimes it just takes a couple of months to start building up that traction and weeding out the activities that are not as efficient as they should be, and actually just start pushing other buttons a little harder. Marketing does work. It just simply requires a great deal of careful attention to the feedback and to the results that are coming back to you. And anybody that promises you a quick solution to a marketing problem is simply just providing you with a bill of goods. Be careful, stay away from them. One of the other things that I wanted to bring to your attention in this video before we move on to the webinar is something that I have noticed in the legal profession and even in the accounting profession, finance people. One of the more troublesome characteristics that I encounter is something that I would refer to as the herd mentality, the fear of standing out in a crowd. Geez, you just might attract attention to yourself. And when you think about it, that's precisely what marketing and capturing new clients is all about, making you stand out in a highly positive way to prospective clients. And there's a number of practical examples that I've encountered in years past of how this happens. For example, hiding behind nameless generic statements such as, the kind, caring, lovable, aggressive attorneys at Northern Podunk Criminal Defense Team? Or how about building a nice website that functions as nothing more than a glorified business card and effectively sells only to other attorneys, prosecutors, and or court officials? Yeah, you got your name out there, and no, they won't be coming, and I'm referring to clients. Or another example, living up or down to the expectations that the rest of your herd may have of you. I'm a new attorney. I shouldn't be too blatant or too aggressive about getting myself out there. And as a marketer, I would respond, I couldn't care less if you graduated 3 weeks ago or 3 decades ago, as long as you're good at what you do and that you actually believe that. And if you don't, then nothing I'm going to do is going to help you. You know, if you think about it, the well-known lawyers are busy spending big bucks on promoting themselves and their brand. They don't hide behind the sterile law firm name or the stereotypical aggressive attorneys at the Northern Podunk Criminal Defense Team. When it comes to attracting new clients, it's not a level playing field. The advantage always goes to those people who are willing to push ahead of the rest of the crowd. I once had someone tell me that if you aren't making waves, you're not moving forward. So while the rest of the herd expects you to maintain your place, you're busy focusing on making bank. And by the way, the next time you have a potential client that seems to be a non-payer, don't hesitate to refer them to your biggest critic in the herd. They'll actually think you're doing them a favor. So that kind of clears up some of the basic fundamental concepts of working in the marketing profession that I wanted to clear up before we get to our webinar here in the next day or two. You know, the objective of this webinar, at the end of the day, it's all about the rubber meeting the road. What do you have to do to make your freaking phone ring with new clients? And I'll go through all of the detail, all the things that I do to make that happen. We'll be covering details about the type of data that I collect from a new client and why those things are important. And then I'll talk about how I choose and implement specific marketing tactics like buying a billboard at the minor league park or social media campaign or whatever to help you achieve your objectives and your goals. Now, in the next couple of days or the next day or two, you're going to get a few reminders from me and instructions on how to specifically log into the webinar. But having said all that, whether you're a new client of mine or not, or you may be a new client of mine or not, it's just important to me that you get a lot of value out of this conversation to use in your marketing campaign. So make sure that you don't miss it. The objective for the webinar that you're going to be attending here in the next day or so is to give you the knowledge and the step-by-step process that you can implement back at your own office to make your phone ring. But you know, it's a complicated process and it requires a whole lot of attention to detail. And frankly, you're going to quickly determine that, hey Tom, I'm a lawyer, not a marketing person. Can you help me? And the answer is yes. I can give you as much help or as little help as you want, or no help at all. There's really 2 ways that I can do this. You know, from time to time, what I'll do is build a complete marketing funnel for an attorney in a metro area. And much like a builder might build a house on spec, I build these marketing funnels, and when they're up and running and beginning to collect leads every month, I start looking for an attorney to rent this funnel from me on a monthly basis. It's a complete end-to-end marketing solution for you. You send me money, I send you prospective clients each month, every month, and I worry about the activities that I need to do to make that process successful. Because, hey, at the end of the day, if I'm not successful, you stop paying me. That's not a good thing. The second way that I can work with clients on a consulting basis is that you may already be in a position where you have large portions of your marketing funnel already built in place and already implemented and already functioning. But you know, you sense that you just need some help tying this all together in an integrated package and getting it to operate on an efficient level. And in this particular case, my objective would be to sit down with you and take all of these pieces and parts and help you to increase the incoming inquiries from potential clients. So it's kind of an as-needed consulting basis on a month-to-month basis. So my contact information, if you have questions about stuff I've said, if you want some more information from me about how we could possibly work together, all of my contact information is on this web page with this video. So thank you for taking the time to walk through this video with me, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation in the webinar in the next few days. Thank you. Have a great day.